Hi everyone, welcome to Mrs. Moskowitz's Art Room. Today I'd like to introduce you to a fascinating woman artist born and bred in the United States and did her artwork in the United States. Her name is Georgia O'Keefe. And Georgia O'Keefe was a very famous artist who painted for approximately 90 years of her life. She was born in 1887 and she died in 1987. She was born in Wisconsin and she lived in a farm. And she was what most people would call a rebel. She didn't want to be like everybody else. She didn't want to do the same things that everyone else did. She wanted to be her own unique self. And she wasn't scared to be her own unique self. When her sisters all wore braids in their hair, she refused to. When they wore bows, she didn't want to wear bows. She wanted to do things that most women didn't do at that point. They lived in a farm, so she grew to love and appreciate nature. So one day she dared her sisters to go with her to the barn and to stick their hands in a cow's mouth to feel how the tongue felt and to feel the difference of how that felt from other things. She also saw the beauty in seashells, all the different textures and the shapes and the colors in every single seashell that is different. And she would do beautiful paintings of seashells. And get all of the colors in there and all the different shapes in there. Another thing she loved to paint were bones, believe it or not. She loved the shapes of the bones, the different colors, the way the sun bleached the colors into it, the cavernous openings in the eyes and in the nose, and how every skeleton and bones are very different. She moved to, after she studied for a while, she moved to New York and she started painting buildings, skyscrapers that she would see in New York. And she went through several phases in her artwork, just like Picasso and Van Gogh and many other artists did. So she painted seashells, she painted office buildings, but the thing that she's most famous for are her paintings of flowers. And she would take something very tiny, like this azalea that I picked from outside, and she would go in very close and paint that so you could see all of the details and enlarge it so that your eye could appreciate all the different shapes and colors. This is a painting of hers of poppies, and you can see the reds and the oranges. And then for the highlights, she used some very rich purples and navy blues to give it the depth of the flower. Here's another one of hers done in all of the warm colors, where you have the red of the flower with the orange in the center, a yellow background, all warm colors, and then the shadows done in the very dark blue and purple. And here's one done with all different shades of the blues. It's two flowers. And it looks like an abstract painting, but when you look at it very closely, you can see that it actually is flowers. She also liked to paint sunsets. Again, we're using the very warm colors here. And she would also like to paint the desert with all the cooler colors, the tints, the pinks and the light orange and very pale blue. She taught art when she moved to Texas, and she married a very famous photographer. And because of that, we have lots and lots of pictures and can see what Georgia looked like throughout the ages. She married a man named Alfred Steiglitz. And Alfred Steiglitz was a very well-known photographer. He also owned a gallery in New York. And they met when she was teaching in New York and going to school there. And he fell in love with her, and they married. And he photographed her entire life. It's another picture of Georgia. She went into a phase where she just loved painting clouds. She wanted to take the normal, the things that you take for granted, that you see every day, and make them special, and make you look at them even clearer in a painting. So I'm going to leave you with a quote of Georgia's. She said, "I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way, that things I had no words for." And I can understand where she comes from with that. It's very, very easy to put your feelings and things into a painting using the colors. So I hope you enjoyed learning about Georgia O'Keefe. Later on in the week, I'd like to do a project with you with the flowers theme. So you're going to need tissue paper, several sheets of tissue paper, and a pipe cleaner, paper, and pencil. So I'll see you later on in the week. If you don't want to miss an issue of this, please subscribe. And thanks for visiting Mrs. Moskowitz's Art Room.